Hi Libra, this is your forecast for the month of October 2018. This is a general reading for Libra Sun, Libra Rising, or Libra Moon. For a more rounded overview, please watch your rising and moon sign as well. So Libra, this first week, you may be very busy. You may be juggling a lot of responsibilities, a lot of obligations, or maybe you're trying to get your finances in order. This is a week where you are going to have to adapt to changing situations. You're going to have to be flexible because you could, again, spread yourself too thinly in a number of ways. Some of you, this is a week where you're focused on business. Perhaps you produce some kind of good or service and you're offering that. So this is about keeping that assembly line going, getting those products out there, offering your services and getting paid. For others of you, as soon as you get $2 in your hands, somebody's asking for one of those dollars. So you're having to manipulate a situation that, you may have to roll with the waves, and it may affect you emotionally. You may feel like you're on this emotional roller coaster. So this is a week where you're going to have to make some decisions. Maybe you want to change your job, or you want to change your environment, or you want to travel. It's likely that, there could be changes happening around you. So there's movement indicated. And you're going to have to be flexible to deal with that. In some cases, perhaps you receive some gift this week. Whatever it is, you're having to multitask. And there are going to be opportunities, and you have to be ready for those. They could be romantic, financial, legal. Something unexpectedly could crop up that brings you some type of fortune. And so you may be looking at your overall picture, your life direction. Perhaps you're going over your budget. You're thinking about the future. You want to make some changes, and the focus is on the long range. And right now you may feel like anything is possible for you. You may be especially creative. You may want to, structure your life in such a way where you get more enjoyment out of it. You are more playful. You may start something. And so you, again, are being very focused on your future, your fortune, your responsibilities, and the need to make changes that affect those. But for some of you, maybe, you're just going back and forth. Maybe you're exchanging ideas with someone else, or you're going back and forth in your own mind about something, and you're just fantasizing. You're not really taking any action. And this may be because, in some ways you're being impulsive, or, you are strapped as far as your resources. There's been some mishandling or maybe some wastefulness. So you may be depending on where you are, you may be very unorganized this week, and you feel overwhelmed by a situation, possibly some dilemma that you have to deal with. Maybe you're having to jump through a lot of hoops, something keeps going in a circle, you're dealing with some red tape. And so something you want may be canceled or postponed or delayed, and you may feel overwhelmed, like you have taken on too much, that, you just can't hold it together. Or maybe you're dealing with people like that. It could be that, you're tied to somebody and they're controlling a lot of the money. You can't make a move because you're connected to them somehow, and maybe there's an inability to move forward. Now, you may resort to some behaviors in order to, especially if you feel overwhelmed, you may use illness as a coping mechanism. You may call in sick because you just can't deal with what's going on. Or, maybe you psych yourself out. Maybe this is an imaginary illness, or maybe it is real, but it's a good excuse to avoid a situation or a person that you don't want to deal with. And, any kind of difficulty you have this week may be because you were unrealistic to begin with. There's a restlessness on your part. Again, you're looking for some kind of movement, and you may be impulsively making some decisions because of that. And if you're not able to move forward, you may feel irritable or depressed. And so, again, this is about skillfully manipulating these choppy waters, riding the wave so that you can get to your destination. Now, the second week, you are having difficulty making a decision. Maybe it is concerning, whether you should move or some kind of gift or your responsibilities. There is a dilemma that you are having difficulty solving, either because you don't have access to the information or you're blocking yourself off from the truth. You're cutting off your feelings. You're not listening to your intuition. And so things are hanging in the balance. You may even be going back and forth with somebody because you're in some kind of conflict. You're part of a feuding party and you can't decide on something, or you can't deal with the important emotions that you need to. It could be that you recently made some changes. There's some changes in your environment or something that you're doing, and as of yet, you don't know how that's going to play out. You're uncertain about what that outcome will be. Now, again, you could be avoiding something, the truth about your finances, some money that was wasted, or some dilemma because you agreed to do A, B, and C, and that was really more than you can handle. So you're in a tense situation this week, where you're looking for answers. Maybe this is about some kind of an agreement or a settlement. You're going back and forth about, should you move? Should you find another job? Or should you just stay put and see how things play out? So, you're in a suspended situation right now. The action has stopped. You're at an impasse. And, you're trying to keep a lid on how you feel and what your emotions are about that. And, you are holding the key, though. It's your determination that is going to drive this situation forward or not. So you're not sure about what to do, or you think you've got it all. You're overconfident. And either way, either you're being impulsive or you're not doing anything, or because that's what's easiest, and you're going to regret that. Now, in some cases, there's some changes in the environment, or you're weighing your options, or you don't have enough money right now. And so you're going to stay put. You're going to wait it out. And that may work in your favor. Maybe you get to strengthen your position somehow. Maybe you save up your money, or you make the necessary changes, or you see what happens with regard to a situation. This is about some decisions centering around gaining some harmony, either with yourself or another person. You want some things to fall into place, and you may call a truce and decide to end a struggle. And ultimately, you were weighing your options and trying to figure something out, and maybe you make that decision. But, having harmony and peace is going to be very important for you. If you're having to wait, if you're restless and you don't have enough money, or you can't do what you want, or you have too many responsibilities, it's going to be difficult for you to be objective and wait something out. And that impatience, that frustration, is going to drive you to say or do something that undermines the cause that you're going after. So, you may rub somebody the wrong way, or you push too hard, or you pull the trigger too quickly, and something you wanted to save or promote is going to go off the rails. And it's likely that the motivating factor was your own self-preservation, especially if, you're spread too thinly or you're running out of resources. Maybe you're trying to advance yourself in some way, or again, the survival instincts. So because of that, you may instigate some kind of dispute between people. It could just be that this is a week where you're not feeling sure of yourself. There's some insecurities, some irrational fears and anxieties that crop up that may not be founded, and they're coming up, of course, when you least expect them to. You're feeling some, anxiety, even though you don't even know why, and it may not be warranted. Or maybe you're feeling this anxiety because you have too much on your plate, or you don't have enough money, or you're tired of where you are, emotionally, financially, physically. Now, the third week you have Earth energy. This is Taurus, Virgo, Capricorn, Sun, Moon, or Rising, male or female, or just the traits of this king. And this is a king who focuses on acquisition, acquiring something. So perhaps, there's some dilemma connected to spending money, making purchases, acquiring something. For some of you, this may tie to real estate or property or some type of investment. You may be involved in discussions with people who deal with money or assets. Perhaps, you're dealing with a financial advisor or somebody who owns property or real estate developer, or maybe this is just somebody who is a good manager or somebody who is financially secure. Some of you are dealing with banks, merchants of some sort, maybe stockbrokers. Maybe you're trying to get somebody who is a patron. This is somebody who's generous, a person of wealth that may, take on the role of provider or protector, or simply loyal friend. This could be somebody who's very ambitious or someone preoccupied with financial matters. And again, there's some dilemma that you're focused on, either a gift or not having enough. And so you want to establish something for yourself this week. There's a strong focus on your worldly success. You're very security minded. So you may be seeking out some financial advice, or you're trying to figure out what to do to make some shrewd moves for yourself that would pay off. You may be connecting to somebody that is a leader in your industry, but you are definitely working hard. This is about earned success and skillfully managing something to increase your income, your investments, some form of transaction. Your focus is on ownership of something, or perhaps putting in some persistent effort to climb up the corporate ladder. You want to have money in the bank. You want to feel protected. So you could be in some kind of money talks this week. Now, for some of you, if this is an emotional situation, you may feel like you're on an emotional roller coaster. There's some dilemma because you want to establish yourself with someone. Either you want to form some kind of business alliance or a romantic relationship, and you may be holding back your emotions or holding back making a decision until you get more information on something. And so you're being very selective about your choices right now, very critical of who you align yourself with. But positively, you may weigh your options, take it all in to make a decision, and then you may put something out there. Maybe you offer someone something or you receive an offer. It could be a business offer, a date, telling somebody how you feel emotionally, could be a marriage proposal, but something is being offered substantial that affects you emotionally or financially. It affects your security and your stability. And again, you're going to want to align yourself and make choices to connect with people who have similar goals, similar values, who can offer you something emotionally or financially. So this is, about trust, perhaps whether you trust this person or you're trusting in an investment or you're getting some kind of support from others. This is also about your belief in yourself and feeling protected. So for some of you, you are trying to create something. And if this is going negatively, maybe there's a lack of business sense. Maybe, there's a preoccupation with money, or somebody's being insensitive to the point of greed or fraud or dishonesty. It could be that there's an excessive worry about money or some poor management on some level, or somebody is a workaholic. It's all about the money. So, you are trying to consider new avenues for yourself for economic or emotional advancement or enrichment or growth. And so whatever you've been doing up until this point, you're going to reap the reward of that, or what you've been doing is going to present some challenges with regard to your habits, your behavior patterns, and the things and activities and outlook that has become second nature for you. So in some cases, you may be recognizing where you're vulnerable. And you could be dealing with people who, have poor values. This could be somebody who is chauvinistic, somebody who's greedy or stingy or suspicious or anxious. They're all about what they can collect, what they can get their hands on. So again, there could be a lot of worries about financial matters, somebody who's very materialistic or superficial. Either that's you or you're dealing with someone like that. If this is an authority figure, this may be somebody who's very critical or controlling. And again, there could be issues over who's controlling money, investments, assets, purchases. So now the last week you have this Four of Swords, and this makes this card especially important by virtue of falling in this place. Also that Two of Swords. So some dilemma and what to do about it. Maybe you want to take a break. This could be a welcome break, like a vacation or some kind of retreat. But you are withdrawing. Again, maybe you're going to call in and say, hey, I'm sick. I can't do this. You are going within to find some answers, to regroup, to see what your next move is. Now, for some of you, maybe you are recuperating from some kind of illness, or maybe you simply need some rest, or you're dealing with people who do. Maybe you're visiting a hospital or a medical patient, or you're that person, or maybe you're working in an environment where people are ill or they need rest or they're trying to relax. For some of you, there's some dilemma connected to somebody who is an unwelcome guest. There's been a change in your environment and maybe you don't know what to do. You need to make a decision. This person is there and you don't want them there, or you feel like you're in exile. You're trying to avoid somebody and you've closed yourself off. So again, this could be you as an outcast and feeling abandoned or lonely, or perhaps you're ostracizing others. Now, if this is about business, maybe you're going to go on strike. There's a change in the environment. There's some dilemma that needs to be solved. Things are not fair. There's an injustice, and you are striking. Whatever it is, this is going to be a week where you are reconsidering your position. And you need this time alone. It's a slow period. Could be a slow period with the company. Could be a slow period personally. You are seeking some kind of relief from some stress that you've been under. So you're withdrawing from other people. You may not be speaking to a lot of people. There's not a lot of activity. There's a lull right now. And again, maybe that's welcome. You need that. You need to recover. You need to take a break. And so you like this quiet, and you're not assuming that because things are quiet that, some worst case scenario. Maybe you're not talking to somebody, you haven't heard back from somebody, but you don't immediately think that that means something negative. For some of you, you're going to want an explanation about something, though. There's some kind of dilemma. You're having an exchange, and you want to know perhaps why an indiscretion or a mistake or an injustice or misjudgment occurred. And not only do you want the apology, you want the details about how this came to pass. But if you were the perpetrator, you want to go quiet. You're blocking yourself off because you don't want to talk about that. Now, this is a week where, something is either going to, make you feel excited and want to get up. It's going to rejuvenate and restore your sense of security. Or again, you're going to realize that you are in jeopardy somehow. And at this point, you're not even motivated. And you're going to have to try to figure out how to jumpstart yourself again, because you're at the end of something, some kind of process where you're having to reorient yourself. And this is a week where, you could go either way, because you got a lot of twos in here about making choices, what the alternatives are. And you could be tempted to go in either direction. and in an extreme manner. Either too much, you're doing something too much of it, or you're doing too little of it. So you may enjoy this break right now. You've reached this plateau and you're not assuming the worst, or there are a lot of things that are not settled for you, a lot of dilemmas, unanswered questions, choices to be made, and you are having to figure that out. Now, for some of you, this may tie to, the past. Perhaps you're getting some spirit messages. Maybe when you sleep, messages come to you. Or for others of you, you are mourning something. Something or someone has passed away, literally. And so you're having to figure something out, and how you approach it determines your success. If you're hiding out and simply wishing something would go away, or you think you can still save a situation or revive it, when the truth is telling you that that's not the case, and with the blindfold on that Two of Swords, you may be closing off to the truth. That's going to do more harm than good. You don't have a lot of options right now. And so, again, you're going to have to figure out what your next move is. As long as you are dealing with issues in a timely manner, you may be able to overcome a challenge. But if you're sticking your head in the sand, you may jeopardize some other things. So this is about taking a break to go within, find some answers, but don't take too long if you need to act on something. Now, the underlying energy is this Seven of Pentacles. So this is more delays, more waiting, more assessment, which could be very frustrating. You're looking at your investments. You're trying to make some plans. You're having to be patient. And so you may be thinking of taking a direction change. Again, you may be restless. You want to change your environment, your job, your situation. Maybe you want to buy some property or make a large purchase or make more money. You're focused on, reevaluating something and waiting for the results. So this could be something, again, that has to do with the future, something long term, and there's been a lull in that development, and you're trying to figure out, is it worth it? Am I going to reap anything out of it, or has this just been a waste of time? I've invested and I'm not going to get a return on it. So you're having to make the choice between risk and security, and until you know where you're headed or you get a better footing, you may feel like you have failed in some way. That, in some cases, maybe you have worked and put in a lot of effort and you didn't get paid for that. Or, you're restless because something is missing in your situation. Maybe you took too long. Maybe you failed to pursue something that was profitable. Or you're having to judge whether you're giving up too soon about something. Or are you putting in enough effort? Maybe you're not motivated. Maybe you're not taking the action. Maybe you're stuck. It could be a dead-end job, a relationship going nowhere, you having to always worry about your money. Maybe, there was a venture you started and you're going to give up on it because it just doesn't seem to be paying off, or you can't get the investment or the flow of capital. Maybe you're going to release some property or investment that you have. There's some worry, some anxiety, and some problems that you're dealing with because you're looking at your return. And whatever your situation, good or bad, you're taking a closer look at that now. Your relationships, your endeavors, and where you've been putting the majority of your time, your money, your energy, your emotions. Now, if you're getting this explanation or you're offering it in a dialogue with somebody, you may gain some mutual respect for one another given the circumstances. So this is going to be a month where you're going to gain some insight. It could be some revelations from hidden sources, perhaps when you're meditating or you're connecting to higher source. Maybe, somebody from the other side is trying to connect to you. You're getting some spirit messages, or you're gaining some greater self-awareness about a situation and realizing that you do need to go within and find the answers. For some of you, you're trying to figure out what to do. There's a dilemma. You're dealing with somebody who is lacking in spiritual value. They may be focused on money, greed, selfishness, manipulating others for personal gain. And you're in a situation where any kind of negativity or resistance or confusion, even if it's a small thing, it's going to be the last thing for you. You are through. And again, you may act impulsively and say or do the wrong thing by taking your irritation out on other people. This may be you looking at past mistakes or errors or grievances, and you just can't let go of it. You're not going to forgive this person. How could you do this? I remember when, and you can't get past that. Or maybe somebody's treating you that way. So you could also be worried about your stability, especially if your earning potential is threatened. Perhaps, somebody in your life is ill, or somebody, there's some hospital bills, or you're worried about insurance. You're taking an assessment of something that impacts you emotionally and financially. And you're trying to figure out if it's worth it or should you make some changes. So this is going to be a period where you are seriously reconsidering or need to reconsider how to restructure your finances. Either, a second job, get some additional income, start a side business, or restructure your budget somehow, or restructure your relationships, change the way you deal with certain people. Now, this is going to be a month where there are some challenges that take place, and it centers around your ambitions. You have a number of twos, so a lot of choices to be made, where you're attached to something, what you can let go of. You're dealing with some kind of a dilemma, and this King of Pentacles is focused both on the Two of Pentacles and the Two of Swords. There's a decision to be made either about a gift or some changes or some travel, or whether there's enough finances. You're trying to establish something. And again, the Four of Swords also holds great importance. These cards are inimical to one another. Air and earth are not fond of each other. So there's some tension involved in your situation. But the good news is that there are no major cards. And so whether you feel like your options are limited or you're having to deal with some challenging situations, this is something that could easily blow in and blow out. It's a passing irritation, and you actually have more control than you may think. But there is some insensitivity. There's a coldness, a lack of emotion with regard to something, and a lack of desire or drive or motivation. Somebody's being apathetic. And it centers around perhaps cooperation, getting some kind of assistance to make some improvement, trying to figure out what's wrong and to make it better. What are the strengths? How can we build on this? Where do we need to make some improvements? So you may find yourself in some group settings or having some face-to-face conversations. Maybe you're going on some interviews, or you're getting a review of some sort, or you're trying to make some repairs to something, whether that's a situation or a piece of tangible property. The focus is on making some improvements, making some gains, and either starting something new or wrapping some things up and closing them out in a positive way. Unless you feel that you're tied to people who are emotional, insecure, or greedy, or, they are bogging you down and blocking your progress. There is a dilemma that you have to deal with. And you're trying to figure out what to do about this dilemma. You need to make some kind of a decision. And it has to do with exchanges or transactions or the development of ideas. And again, this is going to center around your partnerships, people that may act as an agent for you. This has to do with, your connections to others, what you're putting in and what you're getting out, and your focus on security, stability, building a foundation, finding out where you stand in situations. Now, in the beginning of the month, it could be that somebody's, throwing a tantrum, they're doing some foot stomping, and that strategy works. Somebody gains the upper hand by doing that. And you may feel like you're being stifled, like you're in a suffocating situation. There is a need to assert authority. And it could be that you're going to try to convince other people that there's a better, more efficient way of doing things, that their approach, could be changed. We can improve this somehow. There could be an idea to make a lot of money or something that turns out to be very profitable. For some of you, it's a change in lifestyle, but this change is never going to get going without some outside help. But by the end of the month, the tantrums and the stomping just doesn't work anymore. There's a decision to rise above all the negativity and to regroup. It's because somebody doesn't want to be controlled anymore. So you're going to have to make sure that your plans are solid. Somebody is afraid of change. There could be a resistance to innovation or technology. Somebody doesn't like new ideas. Somebody's more comfortable with the practical rather than the philosophical. Somebody needs to see it to believe it. They need concrete proof of something. And maybe there's a need to stop something from getting out of control. So somebody may take charge of a situation and take charge of people who don't understand how something works. All right, Libra, I hope you enjoyed this reading. If you did, I'd like for you to subscribe. You could also join me on Instagram or at Patreon for perks or at my blog for a daily post. And of course, you can always book a personal reading at thealchemistastrologer.com.